Hey y'all, I'm Shayna Cersei from Umbrella Arts Academy, and this is a little bit of a different type of video. This is going to be, I guess, a product review or a product testing video. I have recently discovered, and I know it's not a new discovery, a lot of people have used this stuff before, but I have always been looking for other ways to present my watercolor work. So the traditional way, once you finish a painting, is to put it in a frame behind glass to protect it from the elements. But of course, there's always, there's a lot that goes into framing and a lot that protects the piece and is wonderful about it, but I like to explore new ways of presenting pieces. Certainly you can scan some of your work and put it in a digital format and then have it printed, and then those inks and that print are much more protected just by the nature of the materials. The inks are archival, they don't have to be behind glass, they won't fade, they could get a little moisture on them and they will probably be okay. And they're just a little bit easier. So you can make posters of things and you can put your work on all kinds of different objects in that way through a printing process. But I wanted to find something that, or try something out that protected the actual original piece itself without framing it. So I have discovered and ordered some Dorland's wax. So this is a wax medium, and it is a translucent compound of waxes and resin to be mixed with oil paints, powdered pigments, colored sands, dyes, and other compatible fine art materials. So you can use it for encaustic painting, hot or cool wax. But one of the other things you can use it for is as a sealant. So a sealing medium and protective matte top coat for painting wood, paper, plastic, metal, photographs, and more. It does give some more directions on a luster finish, so you can gently buff it once it's dry. One of the things I have heard is that it gives your pieces somewhat of it dulls the colors a little bit once you put it on. So we're gonna try that out. Today, I've already put it on one piece and let it dry. I think the piece still looks great. And I'm gonna put it on another piece with you, and I'm gonna put it on half the piece and let that dry and the other half, and we can compare to see what it looks like. And then we'll drop some water on our painting and see how well it actually protects it from the elements. But I think this is going to be a great little experiment. So thanks for joining me for this, and let's go take a look at the desktop here and we will get started. So this is Dorland's wax medium, and I got it off of Amazon. Of course, link in the description if you'd like to get the link to this. So let's check it out. All right, here we are on the artist table, and I have two pieces here, and I have our Dorland's wax medium and this little tool that comes with it. I actually don't know if this is the tool that came with the wax medium or another tool that I had laying around, but a very similar tool came with it, a palette knife, basically a spreader. Anything you have. I actually use my fingers a lot with this, but you'll see. Probably maybe not the proper way to use it, but let's get into it. So this piece is the piece that I already put the wax medium on. It has dried. I let it dry overnight. The piece still looks great to me. I don't feel like it really has dulled the colors at all. But again, I'm looking at it after the fact. I don't have a side-by-side comparison, but that's what we're gonna do with this piece here. So I think it looks great on this piece. I'm not too worried about it. And then I feel like this is a nice piece that can be, I've protected the piece itself. And this is a smaller piece, almost, a little bigger than postcard size, but more like card size. And, people might not actually want to put this in a frame. They might want to display it in another way. I think there is also opportunity to, coat the back and have these mounted on like wood boards, but then the piece itself just sits and is displayed that way. All right, so let's get down to it. So we are going to add the wax medium to this butterfly piece, Butterfly and Lavender. If you are a studio crew member, which you can find information on how to join my studio crew, The butterfly itself here will be a tutorial that you can find on there along with a traceable. Adding the lavender, I did that after the fact, and that was an in-person class. So lavender and butterfly is not available online anywhere as of yet, but the butterfly is by itself in the studio crew. But if you want to come to the Hudson Valley and come to my in-person class with the lavender and butterfly, depending on when you're watching this, it is next week. So good luck. Okay, so we have the Dorland's wax. You can see it's just kind of a white substance. I haven't used all that much of it. It's very soft. It's a very soft wax. Almost feels like, you know, like a face cream or something like that you would get in a jar. You know, it is solid until you kind of dip into it, and then it has like this creamy consistency. And I think with your body temperature, I can see that it's already kind of melting. You see that? So it's even melting with just my body temperature. So it must be a very low temp melt point for this wax. So you can take your tool and scoop some out. And I'm just gonna apply it to right down the middle of this butterfly. So I'm gently just scraping it across the page. So I went right down the middle of the butterfly. And really on camera, I can tell a difference in person. On camera, you guys definitely, I don't think, can tell a difference. Can you? Leave a message in the comments if you can. So we're going right over the butterfly, and you can see I'm just using my finger. You're probably supposed to use like a cloth or something on here. Normally you're not supposed to like put your hands in art supplies, but I am. So I am just gently rubbing it very gently so as not to disturb the paint on the page over the whole thing. And you can tell, like you can feel with your hands. So yeah, I'm just using my finger for this. I'm not using this tool at all. Someone can tell me all the ways of which I am going to suffer from putting my fingers in this wax medium, but I'm okay with it for right now. It can't be worse than the fixative I had my hands in as a photography student for the many, many years. Okay, so just going over the whole section, and I'm just kind of rubbing in circles. I can definitely tell right now, like looking at it, like where I've put the wax and where I haven't. So kind of like when your painting is wet and you look at it from a slight angle, you can tell where it's wet and where it's not. So it's kind of the same thing. So I've just put it on half. So I've gone all the way here over. I'm actually gonna go all the way to the edges. So I'm gonna put it even on the edges that don't have paint on them, but I want it to be consistent all the way across. All right, so in person, let's see if we can get a little closer. I don't think you can see that. Oh, there, maybe like at that angle. You can see right here, it's slightly cloudier than over here. But again, it hasn't dried yet. But it is very, very slight in terms of affecting the paint and like the color and the richness. What do you guys think? So I can definitely see from here to here. So if I compare like these two, and I can see that it's starting to dry. This is slightly cloudier over here, but I'm hoping to let it dry, and then we're gonna try buffing it to see if that makes any more of a difference, just buffing it off a little bit. But you want your layer to be really, really thin. You don't need a lot. So let me just show you. I did this same process with this piece. So I had that thin layer over the whole thing, and you really can't tell, but it is protected. People will be like, oh, well, you really have to do it more to protect it, or it's not gonna work. Let's drop some water on this guy. Look at that. I just dropped water. It's beaded right up. It is not absorbing into the paper at all. It's not affecting. Look at that. it's not affecting the painting underneath. And then I could just take a rag, absorb it, and wipe it right off. And it's perfectly fine. It hasn't changed anything of the paint underneath. It's not coming off. That is awesome. All right, so the test for whether or not it holds up has worked very nicely. It really doesn't seem like it changes the look all too much at all. Definitely, you know, you might sacrifice a tiny bit of luminosity of your paints in order to protect it in this way. But you know what? Honestly, when you put it behind glass, even really good quality glass, you sacrifice a tiny bit of that luminosity anyway. That's how I'm thinking about it. All right, so lastly, I'm going to get a piece of, let's see, paper towel maybe to buff this off a little bit. To see, buff gently once dry. It is removable with mineral spirits or solvent. You can use it to add to your oil colors to make it matte, or to make them thicker. So yeah, this has a lot of options. And then here, it is harmful or fatal if swallowed, so don't swallow it. So that tells me maybe I shouldn't put it on my hands, but you could definitely use a pair of cotton gloves or something like that to put it on. Contains beeswax, paraffin wax, microcrystalline wax, resin, mineral spirits, and other proprietary materials. So it's the mineral spirits. Those are what'll get you. Ventilation of work area recommended. So I just smelled it, not recommended. And it doesn't smell like anything. So I guess you want to make sure. So let me get some paper towel and let's buff this thing out. Hold on. Okay. So I'm back with just a little piece of paper towel, and I'm just gonna go over the whole thing. I'm using a very gentle touch. Just to kind of buff it out. And I don't think, I'm sure I could look up a video online from the Dorland's website to see exactly what they recommend for buffing, but this seems to be working. And basically this is a dried wax medium, so you're just using it to kind of gently sand down or buff out the top layer of it to make it even thinner and more transparent. So nothing on the paper towel really came off on that. Buffed it out. Maybe the tiniest little bit of luminosity has been added back to it, but still water beads right off. So yeah, I'm gonna recommend this product if you're looking for a way to protect your watercolor pieces. Maybe it's because you're going to do cards that you're going to actually mail to people and you want them to get them and not to be damaged. If you're going to make tinier pieces like this, or if you want to mount pieces on a wood board without putting glass in front of them, or even if you're going to mount them on like a foam core or a gator board or anything like that, this would be a great way to like be able to mount stuff without having to put glass in front of it, but still protect the piece from the elements. So I'm going to recommend this. Leave comments if you have questions and or your own experience with Dorland's wax, and let me know what you experience with it. But I am otherwise satisfied, and we'll be using this to mount some smaller pieces, I think, on some wood boards and go from there. So thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. And again, if you want access to any of these tutorials, both of these are in Umbrella Arts Academy in my studio crew. You can join as a monthly member. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining me.